So if you watched the last video, you know that I just moved to Toronto. Well, technically I moved to Oakville for like 2.5 months, and then now I'm actually in Toronto, you know, in downtown, you know, not this BS that people be like, oh, I'm in Toronto, but I'm actually in like freaking Oshawa or something like that. One of the biggest reasons for why I decided to make the move, besides getting peer pressured, I'm kidding, no, peer pressure doesn't work on me. I've been wanting to move to Toronto for years, but one of the more like pushing reasons was my friend Bueno. He was like, you know, you can do it, so what are you waiting for? Because it's like I was making these excuses. I mean, they're valid reasons, okay? I was like, I gotta get the business working like here without me in Winnipeg, because I want to have like clients in Winnipeg and Toronto, and then I'll move to Toronto and then have like a different home base and stuff like that. But he's like, just do it. You can figure out the rest after you do it, basically. And it's like how people always say you build the plane while you're falling off the cliff. That's kind of literally what we did. But it was good that I did, because one thing that I've been really trying to embody, I guess, is living just outside of your limits. Like, not going to a crazy amount where it's like, I can't do this, but like pushing yourself to a different challenge that it's like it almost feels impossible, but you low-key know it's very much possible. It's just really, really hard to do. And that's why I decided to move, because in Winnipeg I could literally feel myself getting too comfortable. Okay, maybe not literally too comfortable, but like with the way I was growing in Winnipeg, like it was kind of like an exponential growth. Like if you think, or I think, you don't know, when I think about the jobs that I've had up until this point, it's really fast. Because like I worked at a pizza shop for basically 4 years, most of like the tail end of high school, and then the beginning, middle-ish of university until I dropped out. But the point is, I worked at a pizza shop for a very long time, and then I worked at Dollarama, I believe, for like a short while. I was like, that was not it. Okay, that was not a good job. You know, working any minimum wage job is not really a good job. Pizza shop was only fun because the people, you know, were all around the same age, just messing around and stuff. And then so like minimum wage, I went to work at Purolator, and then I basically flew through the ranks of Purolator. By the time that I was leaving Purolator, I was about to be promoted to like the junior hand, which is basically like, I wanted, like, of the people that work there that isn't like part of like the corporate ladder, it's like the junior supervisor more or less of the entire shift. Like you basically know how to do next to everything that has to do within the facility, which I more or less, I was like 95% of knowing everything. So I flew through that, and like I was only working there for like not even a year, like I want to say 5-6 months or something like that. So I was just crushing it. I was working all the time. You know, I got to a point where I was making like almost $4,000 a month after taxes when I was like, I want to say 21, I think. So just, I don't know a lot of other 21-year-olds that was making that much and not have a degree. Obviously I had to do a lot of work, like I was working like all the time, but it's because I was testing how far I can go. I was testing my limits, because I'm always trying to live just outside of my limits. I was seeing how many hours in a day I could truly work. Obviously I'm not trying to do that for the rest of my life, but like I was trying to see, do I really have what it takes to put in these hours that the great ones say that you have to do? Because obviously I didn't have to work as much as I did, because I was still living at home, didn't have a car at the time. Eventually did get a car because of that job though, but didn't have a car. You know, I didn't really have any real expenses, so like I could have coasted off like $2,000 a month like easily, but I was like, no, let's push it to the limit, let's see what's being said. So I did that, and then I quit that, ended up becoming creative director at an installation company, and you know, just basically learning more marketing things, because I was already in videography, photography, but that's just like freelance related stuff. And then I started getting into the actual marketing of a company, like all this and all that stuff. So flew up to that, you know, that was at 22 or so. Yeah, I was 22 when I was doing that. So you can see it from freaking a pizza shop to creative director in about, by the time I left the pizza shop, I want to say 4 years in between. That's the gap or something like that. So you can see the exponential growth of trying to always be living outside of your limits, because being a creative director, like obviously I've never done that. I've never even worked in the corporate world, but I was like, I know how to do creative things, so let's do it. And I already had like a track record of like doing quality videos and stuff, just trying to apply it to marketing and to learning ads and stuff like that. So you can see how me basically flying through everything that like I can control would get me to a point where I am today, and then how doing all of that within the city of Winnipeg, where like cost of living obviously isn't like that high compared to like Toronto or Vancouver. But my point is, I was at a point where I decided to go self-employed and like focus on Crown Studios and like grow it like by myself, and just like, you know, really double down, bet on yourself type of thing. Then I got to a point where I was like, I don't notice any of my bills coming out of my bank account. Like obviously I notice, but like I don't notice those. Like I know when things are coming, I know when things are hitting, but when they do hit, I'm like, we're chilling. Like there's no issues here. Like I'm talking, because I live with my sister, but still, I'm still talking about rent. It's not as expensive. It was only like, I want to say like $800. We moved into a new spot. It used to be like $1,000, but it was only like around $800. Didn't notice that. Didn't notice my phone bill. Didn't notice my car note. Didn't notice my car insurance. So you can see how just after a couple of months, I was like 3 or 4 months of being self-employed, not even like 3, that I was getting into a place where I'd be completely fine living in Winnipeg for basically the rest of my life and just chilling. We're coasting. Well, obviously I'd still be wanting to level up, but for the most part, I was like, where is the challenge? Obviously there's challenges in business, but I didn't feel like I was at the edge where I'm like always anxious. Well, not anxious in a good way, where I was always like, okay, what's next? Obviously I'm still looking for new clients and stuff, but already at the point where I was like, yo, like if we literally just maintain this, like we're chilling. And that's the problem, because I'm only 23. Well, now I'm 23. At that point I wasn't 23 yet, but I didn't want to just be comfortable for the rest of my life. Like people always talk about freaking, oh, retire early, this and that, but then you'd be so bored. Because what are you doing? What are you challenging yourself in life? And it's just pointless. But I remember a time ago, me and my friend Newton, we always have these conversations about like life skill points, if that makes sense. Like you got like high skill, like we were in university playing football, so it's like we got high skill points in like athletics, like medium skill points in school. I did like school. That and like whatever skill points in like general life, like work and money, income wise and whatnot. And I just got to like, I don't know if he remembers this still, but like I kept thinking of it throughout the year, or yeah. Then I thought to myself, well, we are at enough skill points that we should be going on to the next stage. You know, we should be going to the next battle arena and stuff like that, which is leaving Winnipeg, because not that I'm, this sounds weird. I'm not trying to say I'm too big for the city or whatever, but I'm saying I want to constantly be challenging myself, living outside of my comfort zone, which is a lot easier said than done. But let me tell you, when I moved, it slapped me in the face. Oh man, because we all know that success isn't like a linear line, and it's ups and downs. Like we know, we've seen all the quotes, but when you're actually going through it, it takes the most out of you. Because literally as soon as I moved, obviously I couldn't keep all the clients that I had in Winnipeg, lost some of those, and then with some of the other agencies that I do work for, lost some clients there. No fault to my own, I'm gonna say that right now, but lost some clients there. So we're talking about, I want to say maybe over half of the income just gone as I'm literally driving my car to Toronto. So I'm like, that's nice. That's really nice. But thankfully, I was staying with a family friend for those months, so I didn't have to pay rent in Toronto, but still paying some stuff in Winnipeg, because we still were trying to find someone to sublet our apartment there. But I didn't have to pay rent, and then I didn't have like that many expenses, but like naturally, when stuff hits the fan, stuff hits the fan. So obviously I drove Ghost all the way to Toronto, then I had to get the oil changed naturally, and then I had to get the brake pads changed, which is expensive, especially if you go to Audi because of the sensors. I don't want to talk about it, but everything starts just hitting the fan, and I'm like, bro. And then I also got to put down all this money for a new crib to get like first and last month's rent, and everything's expensive, obviously. And I was like, please, did I make a mistake? But then that's just when I think to myself, I'm like, okay, this is what you asked for. This is the challenge that you wanted. Of course, yeah, you can always go back to Winnipeg, but you can't really go back to Winnipeg. Like, I was joking about it when I'm on the phone with my sister. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna just move back to Winnipeg. She's like, you don't want to be that person that moved back to Winnipeg. And I was like, you know, you're right, I don't. And then I'm on the phone with Bueno being like, I'm moving back to Winnipeg. And he's like, no, you're not. I'm like, I know, but like, this shit's hard. But that's exactly what we asked for. That's the challenge that we asked for. And that's how I know that I'm happy that I made this move. Even though it was at a drop of a hat, it was not fully planned, but we still made it, because living outside of your comfort zone is where you grow. Like, people love to say it, but they don't actually do it. Like, y'all are chilling just like in the middle of your comfort zone. Like, do something reckless, and something reckless, not dangerous, because reckless is different than dangerous. Do something reckless and then see how you respond, because I still have a long ways to go to see if this is actually gonna work out. So far, so good. I mean, I think, because we have been closing some clients. So I think it was the right choice, but I'm already beyond comfortable, but I'm really happy to be here, and I hope it actually pans out. But still, bet on yourself, live outside of your comfort zone, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, we're signing out.